In the past year, the Boston Bruins had a phenomenal regular season. They scored a gargantuan 128 goals more than their opponent in 82 games. In 1998, the Japanese men's national team equaled that amount in 5. They absolutely had their way with the 98 IIHF Asian Oceanic U18 Junior Tournament. This tournament saw blowout after blowout after blowout to ridiculous proportions, the likes of which we have never seen in the NHL. But we have seen some pretty awful scores. The very worst was Red Wings 15, Rangers 0, way back in 1944. These are not blowouts. These are not curb stomps. This is a crushage. A game where the winner wins by 7 goals or at least scores 8, and the opponent never comes close. That's really, really rare in the NHL at any point in time. But once we zoom out into the wide world of hockey, particularly the IIHF World Championships, we quickly see that there are no sacred cows. These teams will happily tear each other apart. Once you see how obscene it can get and how often it does, I guarantee you, none of us will take parity in the NHL for granted. In the 2023 World Championships, which ended just 2 months ago, Group A was in Tampere, and the United States and Hungary represent the extreme ends of the parity spectrum. 25-26 goal differential. That's not too bad. There was the occasional rough outing for a team, but nothing particularly egregious. It's to be expected, with the bottom team being relegated from Division I every year. Group B saw even more parity. 18 and 19 goal differences between Slovenia and Switzerland. The better of the two contributed to the lesser's differential. All of the playoff round games were relatively close in score, so that leaves the championship division with some pretty expected levels of parity. Let's drop down a level. This is the non-NHL hockey I really like to see every year. I have no idea who any of the players are, but it's still good hockey, and it's just fun to see who you end up rooting for. And it's great to see that everyone involved still has that passion for the game. It's kind of like the XFL. 1A in good old Nottingham had a bit less of a gulf in goals between first and worst, just under 20, and Great Britain won the final game against Italy to advance to the top division next year. Nice. 1B was almost exactly the same, only having a few crushings that weren't outside of what you'd see in the NHL every so often. But there was one game that got really rough. Ukraine crushed the Netherlands 14-2, which is less of a score and more of a Manning-era Colts record. Fortunately, only 729 human souls saw this drubbing, which, fittingly, is about as many people lived to tell the tale of the Titanic. It was not good. In the whole game, the Ukraine made 9 saves. Shots were 60-11. While it may not have shown up on the scoreboard, this division is really where parity starts to slip. So let's venture out further into the wide world of hockey to see it completely fall apart. And you can find all these games on YouTube, by the way. They live streamed them. 2A in Madrid. Dude, Spain has a men's hockey team. That's so awesome to me. The goal differentials have cracked 20. Okay. Croatia lit up Israel 12-1, but shots were 55-25, which isn't as abysmal as we've seen so far. Aside from that, plenty of games were decently close. 2B, or not, depending on who you ask, pushes the disparity further. Okay, we're up to 25 and 26. Now the veneer really starts to slip away. Only 5 of 15 games had final scores within 3 goals of each other. That's not really competitive. Division 3 Group A gets wacky. Cape Town, baby. Apparently there's a casino attached to this rink. The former Formosa kind of dunked on everyone, but aside from those, there's like no goal differential. Odd. Sarajevo. Goal differential is probably a bit higher? That goal differential is bigger than the USA and Canada's combined goals for. So let's look at the results. Oh no. This game was 7-0 after the first period. The shots for the game were 81-3. 87 human beings saw this game. 87 people walked home that day, a little older and a lot sadder. They had seen the face of evil. Of the 15 games played, 11 had a score differential of at least 9, and another 2 were at 6 and 7. Oh my goodness. Do I have the strength to look at previous years? I suppose I must. Let's go back to 2022. That year's mascot was Miraculio, who may or may not be a Pokemon. But anyway, in the top division, we're right back to a healthy 20-ish goal differential at the extremities across both groups. The biggest blowout was a 9-1 Denmark win over Kazakhstan. But doesn't 8 goals seem so pedestrian at this point? 1A in Slovenia, the hosting team actually played great, and were promoted to the top division this year. I sure hope it doesn't go awfully for them. They had a 9-1 clock cleaning session of the Romanians, but every other game was respectable. But we've still seen way too much disparity. The scores are just too wide open for the average person to divine any sort of entertainment from these, except to see how high the score can go. So, how high can the score go? I mean, in the past 5 years, there can't be that many, right? Right?
No! Oh God! No! Oh no! Wait! Oh no! Oh God! No! God, please, no! Love of God! For the love of God! You can't keep getting away with it! Please! You can't keep getting away with this!
Stop! He's already dead.
Oh no! I can't do it. I can't take this shit anymore, man. No! No, please, no.
Once my nervous breakdown was over, I looked at how many crushages each of these teams had to experience in the last 10 years. At the low end, we see teams who are either too new to the World Championships to have really racked them up yet, or teams who are perennially in the top division, i.e. where everyone is so good that seeing a crushage is so rare. Slovakia and Hungary have managed to avoid them completely since 2014. At the business end of this graph, we see Hong Kong, Bulgaria, North Korea, Georgia, and Luxembourg. I don't know why, but I feel like Luxembourg should be better than putting up 13 crushages in the last decade. Shame on you, Luxembourg. Combined, these guys have put together about 100 crushages. 100 internationally sanctioned games between national teams on the biggest platform for hockey teams in the known universe, and they are completely unwatchable. Remember those names, because we'll see them again very soon in the graph of what percentages of games were crushages. Again, up top, we have newbies like Iran and Malaysia, whose only 5 games to date in the IIHF is really driving that extreme number. But look what we have here. Hong Kong, Bosnia, North Korea, Bulgaria, and Georgia, with Luxembourg close behind. Not only do these guys have so many crushages by volume, but with the exception of North Korea, they have played in every single year of IIHF competition, and collectively, you could solidly rely on like 1 in every 3 of their games being disgustingly one-sided. Go back through the crushages list and you'll see these guys pop up over and over again. And that's just the last 10 years. Let's go back to when Eisenhower was president, 1949. The World Championships in Stockholm. 33 games were played here, 12 of them were crushages. Only 10 games had final scores within 3 goals. And here are the 10 worst of them. 9-1, which is the smallest, is still an absolutely ridiculous score. But after a 47-0 final, it just seems so rude to have a score that's even in the same universe as the other team. There were some 10 and 11 ones, but only like 3, and nothing even came close to this. But guys, there's one more game that needs its story told. One game that had stood the test of time as being the single highest score in an international hockey game. The year was 2008, the qualifiers for women's teams in the 2010 Winter Olympics. Here's what's nuts. Bulgaria had played in 2 earlier qualifying games that year and lost 30-1 and 41-0 against Croatia and Italy. With this bullying, Slovakia advanced to another qualifying group with Germany, Kazakhstan, and France, hoping to secure a spot in the 2010 Vancouver Winter Olympics. And they did. And here's how they fared in those Olympics. They lost all 6 games played. Life is cruel. Very, very cruel. But that still makes what we're seeing a complete and utter drubbing. What we are fortunate enough to watch in the NHL is a league so prestigious and a product so refined that we almost never, ever get to see games like these. And once in a very blue moon when we do, it'll be something that we talk about forever.